In this lesson, we'll start to explore some of the tool and command options inside of Maya. So for this lesson, I'm just going to start with a blank scene. Now, you'll notice that as we start to begin looking through some of these menus, you'll notice that a lot of these menus and menu options that we have, you can see this little kind of a box that's on the far right-hand side of the menu, and you'll notice this pretty frequently throughout Maya. Well, this box is essentially the options for this particular command or that particular tool, depending on what you happen to be looking at. So using these, we can start to come in and begin customizing commands and different features before we actually apply them. So for example, let's say I wanted to create a polygon sphere, and let's say I knew that this polygon sphere needs to have 6 faces horizontally and 6 faces vertically. Well, knowing what we know currently, what we would have to do is come in, create this polygon sphere, and if we were to come in and just simply drag this out, you can see it does create a polygon object, and if I press the 5 key on my keyboard, we can see that there are definitely more than 6 by 6 subdivisions. So what I would have to do is, once this object was created, I would have to go into the channel box, select its input, and then adjust the subdivision height and width until I find the value that I want. So in this case, 6 subdivisions. Alright, so that's a lot of work to have to go through to get something that really I already knew what I needed to get. So what if I could actually create this sphere directly with the number of subdivisions I needed to and not have to go through and adjust these things after the fact? Well, that's where these different options come in. So if I needed to adjust things like the radius, subdivision height, or width, let's come in and go back to Create Polygon Objects Sphere, and this time let's go into the options. If we click on this, you notice now we have access to the exact same features, the radius, the height, the width, except now we can start to set these different features before this sphere even gets created. So let's say I wanted this to be 6 by 6 subdivisions. Now, with these set, all I have to do is click and drag to create my sphere. You can see it has exactly what I need. And now the next time I go to create this, it will actually remember those same settings. So if I go to Create Polygon Sphere and click and drag, you can see it remembers those exact same settings that I applied. So these are really, really nice, but you will want to remember that any options that you set in these different windows will actually remain until you go back and manually change them again. So if I decided I wanted to come back and maybe add 20 subdivisions, but maybe keep 6 height subdivisions, I can come in and drag that out. Alright, so what if I wanted to come in now and just get Maya back to its original settings? So when I create a sphere, I get the original default sphere with 20 by 20 subdivisions. Well, if I go into the options, I could manually come in and set this back to 20, but it's probably going to be very unlikely that you remember every default setting for your tool. So Maya makes it very easy to come in and just simply reset this tool back to its default state. So if I go to reset, you can see everything will be reset back to its original default state. And now the next time I use this, it will remember those original default settings. So these abilities to come in and begin setting your tool options before you actually use that tool is a really, really nice way of avoiding to have to go through these additional clicks to select your object after the fact, go into its creation options, and then manually having to go in and set your different settings until you find what you like. So that's a look at these different options and these different features that we have for being able to customize our different tools and commands inside of Maya before we actually apply those to our scenes.